One kick. That's all it takes to flip an entire penalty shootout upside down. Not the fifth kick, not the clutch one everyone talks about, the first one. Studies on shootouts show something wild. The team that scores their first penalty wins the shootout roughly 60% of the time. That's not a small edge. That's basically a coin flip that's been secretly loaded. So today we're breaking down why the first penalty in a shootout carries more pressure, more psychology, and more power than almost any other kick in football. Let's start with the basics. A penalty shootout happens when a knockout match ends in a draw. Instead of playing forever, both teams pick 5 players each to take turns shooting from the penalty spot, just 12 yards from the goal, trying to beat the goalkeeper one-on-one. Whoever scores more penalties wins. Simple, right? Except it's not simple at all, because the moment that first kicker steps up, something invisible happens. Pressure. Here's the thing about penalties. They're not just physical, they're mental. The goal is huge. The goalkeeper is right there. And thousands, sometimes millions of people are watching one single moment decide everything. Now imagine you're the very first kicker. There's no history yet, no momentum, no pattern to follow. You're the one setting the tone for your entire team. If you score, something happens in your teammates' heads. Confidence goes up. The mission suddenly feels achievable. Even the goalkeeper starts feeling the tiniest bit of doubt, but if you miss, that doubt doesn't disappear, it multiplies. Suddenly, every player waiting in line starts thinking about failure instead of success. And here's the wild part. This isn't just theory. Researchers who studied shootout data found that teams who miss their first penalty are far more likely to lose the entire shootout, even though there are still 4 more kicks to go. Let's slow down for a second because this is where it gets really interesting. Football, like most sports, is a mental game wrapped inside a physical one, and shootouts are basically stress tests for the brain. The first kick sets the emotional temperature for everyone else. Coaches know this. That's why the best, most confident penalty taker almost always goes first, not the most skilled shooter, the most mentally strong one. Because missing first doesn't just cost your team a goal, it creates fear. And fear is contagious. Think of it like the first domino in a long row. Knock it down cleanly and the rest follow with momentum. But if that first domino wobbles, everything behind it becomes unstable. Now here's a surprising twist. You'd think goalkeepers have it easier on the first kick, right? Nope. Goalkeepers feel pressure too, maybe even more. If they save the very first penalty, their entire team gets a psychological boost. Suddenly, the shooting team feels like maybe, just maybe, nothing is going in tonight. That's why you'll often see goalkeepers doing something weird before the first kick, waving their arms, delaying, staring down the shooter. It's not random, it's a mental attack, designed to shake the kicker before they even strike the ball. Let's bring in a real example. Remember World Cup shootouts where the first kicker missed? Watch the body language of their teammates afterward. Heads drop, shoulders sink. It's subtle, but it's there. Compare that to a team whose first kicker smashes it into the top corner. Everyone straightens up. Confidence spreads like electricity through the whole line. That's the psychological chain reaction of one single kick. And here's something most fans never think about. The first penalty isn't just about scoring. It's about controlling the emotional story of the entire shootout. Whoever writes the first sentence controls how the story unfolds. So next time you're watching a shootout, don't just watch the ball. Watch the players in line behind the kicker. Watch their faces the moment that first ball hits the net or misses it completely. That reaction tells you more about who's going to win than almost anything else in the match. So let's recap. The first penalty sets the tone. It shapes confidence. It creates pressure that ripples through both teams. And that single kick can quietly decide a shootout before it even finishes. Wild how one moment can carry that much weight, right? If this made penalty shootouts make so much more sense, hit subscribe, because next time you'll never watch the first kick the same way again.